These 4 years are the years of transformation. We are going towards the light. I just snapped out of my body. One feels like they've entered nirvana. I came back into my body with those gifts with a very clear instruction after a series of the dark night of the soul. And I started having the Kundalini experience and the outer body experiences. They kind of merged. Everybody can make a difference and everybody has the gifts. We have something called soul intelligence. 7 parts of us exist in different universes at the same time. There is a thread that connects us to the master source. The Mahavidyas are feminine codes of power. They are the seeds of Shakti. The children who are being born now in 2025 is a generation of angels. Old power structures are breaking. We are being washed and memory is being recreated. The earth is restructuring. It is evolving from the 3rd dimension to the 5th dimension. We are going to be a set of very evolved and conscious living beings. The world is going to look different. As I was growing up, I clearly and distinctly remember having out-of-body experiences. So I would not sleep on my bed. I would actually go and sleep on the carpet, on the floor, so that I could be more grounded and, it seemed more safe that way. I'm a person who ignored the signs for 35 years of my life. I remembered my past life when I was 3 years old, and I used to draw who I was in my past life with the 2 children who were killed in front of me. And when my mother used to call me a small child, she used to say, "Baby, do you want this?" I used to say, "I'm not a baby. I have babies," from as early as I could speak. So I was somebody who remembered their past lives at the age of perhaps even before 3 years of age. But that is when I could articulate it. So I went on ignoring the signs studiously because, see, the backdrop was that of action, army, science, culture, political. My grandfather was, a Supreme Court lawyer. So you have to understand the backdrop was very, very practical. So one grew up like that. I kept ignoring the signs time and again till one day, after a series of the dark night of the soul, and I started having the Kundalini experience and the outer body experiences. They kind of merged. So if someone knows what happens when their Kundalini rises, it can be extremely uncomfortable, especially if you don't know that this is what's happening to you. So I would land up in the hospital from time to time. The doctor would say it's a panic attack, but the panic kept happening in different parts of the body. So over a period of 6 months, I could actually feel finally the panic came till here. And I would say that, okay, now my heart is not okay. It was a very turbulent time. I stepped out of my marriage with 2 very young children, having a fabulous corporate job, but still and I just lost my mother. So it was a series of things that were going wrong in my life. And then on top of that, my health. What I did not know then, but I teach my students now, is to be very aware of the signs. The signs will be given by the universe. The signs will be told to you. And once you understand it, you will realize that it's leading you somewhere. I was absolutely swimming against the current because I had no idea. I didn't have a guru. Nobody would talk about psychics in India at that point in time. In fact, I'm proud to say that the work that I've done in the last 9 years is to bring these terms to people, to say psychic is not psycho. And that's what people thought it was. And so it was difficult. And then finally, one day I had they thought that she's not going to listen. So let's just take her out of her body. If she survives, great. If she doesn't survive, then, she'll have another birth. These are my masters. And when I came out of my body, I didn't have a traumatic accident or a hospitalization as such. It was that I was in my bed at night. My kids were in the other room. My dad was in the other room. Like I said, I'd lost my mom. And I just snapped out of my body with so much of discomfort that I thought I'm having a heart attack. And the moment I stepped out, it was so free. Oh my God, it was so free. One feels like they've entered a nirvana. But I started waiting for the white light. I said, we've all heard, no, there's a white light that will come, that will take you. You walk through it. I was prepared. But there was no white light. I was left alone there looking at my body. And I didn't know what to do. And then I started hearing these voices. I started hearing first. I remember even before my clairvoyance was opened, my clairaudience was opened. And I could hear literally lots and lots of people talking together, and some of them were making sense. And it took me about an hour. At least I thought it was an hour. When I came back to my body, I realized it was only 15 minutes. So the concept of time, once you leave your body, is very different from the concept of time that you and I have now. So that's where my psychic gifts opened. And it sounds very strange, but I could know, looking at a person, what's going to happen to him. Does he have a stomach ache? What happened? What did his wife recently say to him? And I came back into my body with those gifts with a very clear instruction that if you do not leave your so-called corporate life now, or you don't acknowledge your gifts, then it's better that you leave your body. Do you want to leave your body? And my children are very young and I was very attached to them. So I said, no, I don't want to leave my body. So they said, then will you do as we ask you to do? I thought, let's say yes right now. It's okay. Tomorrow we'll figure once they leave me, maybe a possession. I said, yeah, I'll do everything. I'll do everything, including leaving your job. I said, yeah, everything. And the next day, I went to the doctor and I said, here's my signs. I'm a medical student myself. So I went to a doctor and I said, listen, something's really gone wrong with my brain. He said, okay, and how do you know that? I said, no, I know, and you please check me and you will also know. So he says, okay. Then he heard me out. Then he said, okay, there was a paper kept there. He says, okay, if you just try, what is in this report? And I could read the report without opening it. And I said, it's a liver report, it's your report, and the tests are fine. And I told him one value, that it's this number is written. He opened the report, and you will not believe it, Amrit. Everything was similar. He was shocked. I was shocked. We were both shocked. And he said, please go home. This is something bigger than that. And there was nobody to speak to. I felt that pain so acutely. And I promised myself that if I ever walk on this path, I will create a community where at least people are able to tell people who go through an experience for the first time that what does it mean? That they are not going nuts, that it's all right. It took me a long time to believe in my guides because nobody prepares us. We are not told. So when this experience happened, and I, of course, then within 3 months, I left my job, I started getting messages about kidnapped girls, and I started helping international agencies look for them in their countries, and I never traveled to those countries. And I could tell them that, this is what I feel. And they started giving me weird cases to test the thing. And they said, what about this one? And I said, but this one is no more. So they said, yeah, we just wanted to test it out, that kind of a thing. So that's what sort of put me off. And I don't do that anymore now because it was very traumatic. It was the beginning of my career, and it was just the opening of the gifts. So that's how it started. And true to my word, I did build a community, and I have like thousands of students now who are learning this from me. I think the biggest thing that I would like to share with the audience today is that everybody can make a difference and everybody has the gifts. There is nobody who's born with specific abilities. It's about awakening those gifts and understanding that we have something called soul intelligence, which bridges the normal, mundane, real, corporate, whatever life with the life that spirit wants us to see, which is the life which is mystical, which is full of light. So it's the light and the dark, and the bridge between is called soul intelligence. We all have it. We just have to activate it. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you stay, what you eat, how many responsibilities you have, whether you're married or not, whether you have a guru or not. No, we were not all meant to have gurus. We were meant to be our own guru in today's day and age. If you have one, excellent. But otherwise, I personally believe that we are all on our own. So, Amrit, for me, spiritual sufficiency is the name of the game. All of us are being led towards being sufficient in our own selves. And that creates a culture of emotional sufficiency and therefore lesser mental health problems, whether it's depression, whether it's bipolar, schizophrenia, feeling isolated, etc., etc. All of that stems from the fact that we feel that we are inadequate, that we have been left alone, that people don't understand us. But we don't need people. At one level, to know our own selves, we need to go within with the universe. So spiritual sufficiency and soul intelligence, this is what I do. This is where I started from. And I'm very passionate about taking it to the world.
I can see that. There's a few things in there, but first of all, I wanted to dive into what are the consequences of us being divorced from the mystical side of our experience?
Divorce.
Yeah, because you said there are two parts of us, right? Like you said, there's the corporate side of us and then there's this mystical side of us. And a lot of what you've been working towards is like, having a dialogue around this and also being like, hey, you're not being a psycho, you're just opening up to psychic things, But for so many of us, we are locked into this compartment and we're sort of divorced from this awareness that's over here in terms of there's this other part, other dimension to our reality and our existence. What is the consequence of that? Because many people would just say, I don't need to know any of that. Why is it important for us to know that?
It's very important because you have to understand that we all came here with soul contracts. We came here with lessons to learn. We came here with pending karmas, and we also came here with a beautiful purpose. And when somebody's soul contract with somebody ends, thankfully in my case, it just shows the light in a very beautiful way. So divorce is simply understanding that you are meant for different things and the karma that you had together has been completed. So it's the divorce or the separation itself is not important. What is important is understanding that the path widens from there. So it's not that only people who step out of a relationship can find that path. You can be within the relationship also, but focus on how you are going to grow. So one thing I tell everybody is that always be in relationships, whether professional or personal, that are contributive. If a relationship is not contributive in every which way, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, then you are only training yourself there. And sooner or later, there's going to be a mismatch of frequencies. So if you're in a relationship that can encourage you independently as well as collectively to grow, it's great. From my perspective, it was a good parting of the ways because I realized that my purpose was fairly different. And that helped me to become really independent because I grew up with parents who were very possessive of me and they were very, a little protective. So it was important for me to break out on my own and understand where I stand, whether I matter or I don't. So when people go through relationship issues, whether it's twin flames, by the way, or it is soulmates, or it is karmic contracts, they focus more on the relationship. Let the relationship be. You focus on who you are and how you are planning to grow, how you are going to be contributive. So a good question to ask is, would you fall in love with yourself in this moment? Are you somebody who, if you were someone else, would you love Amrit? If you were someone else, would you love Manmit? Are you that person who anyone else would love? But where is our focus? Our focus is on the other person. So that is the mismatch, right? We just keep saying, oh, no, not this one. Oh, But what about you? Are you that person that anyone would just come in and say, wow, I've just found you. Thank you. Thank you for being Amrit. So that's my perspective here.
I wanted to find out more about. It's interesting because the people that are listening to this podcast, I think some would be quite surprised to hear that you've stepped into this psychic awareness. Like you said, you're reading this doctor's report without him even opening it, and then he's sent you home, and you're feeling all isolated in a place like India. because I think the West peers in and looks in on India and goes, surely India is this place where all sorts of mystical carnivalism is happening. It's like a carnival, and it's like, surely there's psychics, there's tarot readers, there's this, there's Jyotish, there's that, there's this all happening. But I think it's important to just check in with you as to the isolation that you felt as your gifts were coming online, because that's driven a big part of your work. And I think it's quite surprising to hear you say that in some regards.
I cannot tell you how lonely everybody is. The moment you realize that you have a gift, it sets you apart from other people. So you're battling with two things. One, you're battling with the fact that nobody understands who you are now because you were someone else for so many years. I was in the corporate boardroom for 20 years, leading teams, chasing targets, doing things that seemed normal to other people. And now I had this ability. So some were questioning, some were wondering whether I've lost my marbles, etc. And that happens, by the way, in all countries in the world. And also because psychics were not so prevalent in India at that point in time. So you could do astrology and you could be very okay with it. People would accept you. You could be a doctor. You could be a Ayurveda specialist. You could even be a Reiki master. And people would be in acceptance of that fact. But psychic means you don't have a degree, means you just like suddenly something's opened up, they don't get it. So it was very isolating. Socially, it was very isolating. Just after my divorce and then with these new gifts, nobody wanted to be with me. Nobody wanted to associate with me because it seemed like a little weird. And the second thing that you're battling, Amrit, in every country and more so in India is the professional questioning and the jealousy. I don't know how it is so much in the West, but there is a lot of competition instead of there being collaboration. So whenever I would tell people, then I was a baby then. So I would want that, someone takes me to their office or gives me advice or, just tells me how to handle someone. No, nobody wants to do that. People see you as a threat. People see you as a competition. People don't have that collaborative thing. And that is the only reason why, as a community, it's difficult to come together. Yeah, if you're an astrologer, if you're a pundit, if you're anything like that, great. But psychic is a Western concept. In a country like India, this is not very easily. I'm still telling you, trust me, ask your audience, do people confuse psychic with psycho? And many will say yes. So it was very isolating, yes, for sure.
Inspired souls, lumen beings, thank you so much to all of you that are subscribed to this podcast. Everything you see around here, guests like this come on the podcast because of your subscription to the channel. It is a total co-creation. Thank you so much for your love and support. And interestingly, at the time of this recording, looking at the back end, it's pretty surprising that actually only 20% of you that are actually watching this channel regularly are actually subscribed to this channel. So please do take a moment. To all of you that aren't yet subscribed, as I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, join the community, join the movement, spreading love, positivity, wisdom, and insights like this together across the planet. And in fact, many of you think you are subscribed but aren't yet subscribed. So please do check that button and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you so much for your loving support. There's also a fear and a taboo that is surrounding this profession in particular. Because, I mean, even listening to some of your other videos online and the things that you've seen, I mean, it's not for the faint of heart to be like, oh, well, maybe you should tell us some of your stories, because it must be pretty disconcerting on one hand to be in a room, to see a living person, and also potentially to see someone that's not of the living. Like, that is so trippy.
Very, very. Especially when my children were younger, I used to keep wondering whether they are going to be seeing that as well. My daughter definitely is psychic, so she would see some of that. So some of the experiences, Amrit, are very strange in the beginning, because first, you don't believe that you can see spirits as well. Secondly, you don't know what to do with them because there's no guidance, right? So I have learned all of this on the way. So I remember a time where, we were in a hotel, and I just asked somebody that, we were in a family function, and I asked somebody that, which side is the restroom? So they said, this side. I said, is it very crowded? They said, no. But when I went inside, I saw a long queue, and 2 long queues actually. So I just stood in my place, just behind the last person. And I'm looking that the attendant is looking at me very strangely. So she kept looking at me. I kept looking at her. Why is she looking like that? Actually, most of the people in the queue, some of them were humans, but most of them were not. So imagine a human and then 5 people and then me. So according to the attendant, she didn't understand why I was standing so far away from the last person who was standing. And according to me, there were 4 more people in the queue. So after a long time, when those people were not moving, she says, "Ma'am." So I said, "Yeah, but..." And then the penny dropped because she started looking at me really in a strange way. So I said, "Yeah, yeah. No, I'll just be back." And I just rushed out and I asked somebody else to come. They said, "Yeah, there's nobody inside. There's hardly any people inside." That's when I realized, oh my God, oh my God. And it took me some time. I had to have water and, I couldn't ever go back to that hotel again. Not that I didn't see spirits later on in other places, but that was one of the most scary things to do. So now I take someone with me and I make them stand in front of me. So wherever they are standing, I know that it's a human queue. And by the way, I realized later that that hotel was made on top of a graveyard. So that's when I started to understand the energy of land, Amrit. And the energy of land is so strong. You could be in a beautiful apartment, and this happened to me in Dubai. I went for a conference, and my sister went along with me, and we stayed in a very, very... Dubai has beautiful, luxurious hotels, that, and you sort of, when you are younger, you just feel that I also want to experience that luxury. So we stayed in a nice hotel, and we had twin beds. I think around 12 o'clock, she just told me, someone's pulling my sheet. I said, "What nonsense." And she's a complete non-believer of, of spirits and spirit as such. I said, "No, not possible." She says, "Of course someone is." And then suddenly the television turned on. And the channels would just sort of scroll on their own. I said, "Oh my God, what's happening?" So when we had that experience, she said, "Something is not right. You have to change the hotel." Okay, fine. We changed the room. You can't change the hotel in the middle of the night. We went to another room. Same experiences followed. That's when I came to know that land is potent. If the land you have a building on, if the land you have a hotel on, your office on, your home on, is haunted, all the rooms are bound to have different experiences, mystical experiences, or even horrifying experiences. So that's when I asked my guides, I said, "Listen, if you want me to do this work, I am not going to be going through this." So from there, I think they sort of turned the knob on, SIM. And thereby, now even if I see spirits, it's a bit distant. And it's a bit like how do I explain? It's like a shadow. It's a whitish shadow. I don't literally see their face with their eyes. Earlier, I would literally see it. And they could come in any form, Amrit. They could come in the form they died. So if it was a car crash, they would come in that bloodied form. Or they could come in a very young form, wearing very beautiful clothes. So you would understand that, this person has had a good exit. And they can, show themselves in this form. But yes, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, well, I think we should probably orient ourselves in the conversation a little bit, because as you're saying, certain places, and we will talk about portals, but certain places, as you're saying today, are, we use the word haunted, which is really interesting. So why aren't all souls transitioning on to the other side where they're meant to go? Is that where they're meant to go, or am I just assuming they're meant to go there as well? I don't know. Maybe you could help. Yeah.
There are 2 questions here. The first is, are the souls meant to go? We have a free will. The moment we die, we have a free will. We have a moment of choice. We can either transition or we can choose to stay back. And people or spirits or souls who choose to stay back because of a personal desire that is unfulfilled. So either they've not understood that they've passed over and they now need to go to the light, or they want revenge, or there is some trauma surrounding the way they went. It could be a rape, it could be a murder, it could be there was a spirit that just kept saying, "But you don't know how it is like." I said, no, I know, I don't know, but you're staying here is not going to help. She said, I'm not going to go till the other person is killed. I said, how are you going to do it? I will do it any which way. Okay. So there are souls like that as well, which then are misused by, people who practice black magic, etc. Because the soul is ready to do anything to harm the person that killed them. So there's a moment of choice. So whether we are meant to transition, yes, we are meant to, but we still have choice there. So that moment, some people may just say, for example, there's a place in Delhi called Khuni Darwaza. Khuni Darwaza is a place where a lot of people were killed together. So the mass killing had happened during the time of the war. Now, those people are still trapped. Some of them have gone, some of them want to go, some of them don't want to go. Now they've become okay with it. So that's one part of what you've asked. The second is that why don't they go? Yeah, sometimes they are trapped, so they cannot go. Now, if you build a hotel over it or you build a building over it, they look at it as an encroachment of their own space. For example, if you have a house and someone else comes and starts building a house on that, you're not going to be okay with it. So they don't understand that they've passed on. They have to leave these attachments behind. They are stuck to that place. So, in fact, there's a client of mine who has an entity in that house, who is the original owner of the house. And every time the man gets more guests in his house, he gets slapped by that spirit. So he called me and he says, what's happening? So I said, okay, let's see what's happening. And I went into his house and when you go to someone's house, there's a drawing room, there are many sofas and chairs and you can go and sit on one. So there's already an old man sitting on one. So I sat on the other one. So he said, my client, he said, why don't you sit here? I said, well, because your father is sitting here. He said, you're the only one in the drawing room. Then when I spoke to that guy, he says, I'm the owner of this place. And these people, blah, blah, blah. And then I told them, I said, listen, if you want to stay in this house, you've got to treat him like your father. He's not going to do anything. He will even protect you. It's been 6.5 years. And those people are still staying there beautifully along with that spirit. That spirit doesn't interfere. They don't interfere. And it's a very nice, happy, harmonious thing. So that's how lands and spirits get sometimes connected in such a way that they are not able to break out.
I mean, it brings into light this question around the karmic connection. Like, surely karmically it must be... Well, I would even love for you to just explain karma, because you explain karma as the 3 different pillars of karma as well, which I think is really important to understand fully, actually. Because some sort of feels like there's some sort of residue. Like, why would you not? Karma is like movement, like keep moving, but they're sort of staying tethered to the land. But maybe you can explain the 3 pillars of karma and what's going on karmically for the souls that are choosing to stay.
So karma is, there are many, many ways to describe karma, but from a perspective of souls not transitioning, when we talk of karmas, they are not staying there because of any pending karmas. They are choosing to stay there and create more new karmas for themselves. Because karma is a concept. So karma is actually not a verb. Karma is a noun. Right? Many people think that it's an action that causes, so it's a cause and effect. No, cause and effect is a law of the universe. But karma is a noun. Karma is what you create when you think something. So when someone thinks that, oh, nice, he got promotion, but he really didn't do well. Let's see, God will see him. Let's see how much he prospers. Now, even with that thought, you've created a karma. Right? And when we talk of the pillars of karma and souls not transitioning, they are held back from moving forward by their attachment. So a very big block to creating good karma is attachment, and not the good kind of attachment, the kind of attachment that is possessive, that is controlling. You want to control the outcome, right? Or you want to punish somebody that killed you. We don't leave it in the hands of God and we say, okay, fine, God will see you, doesn't matter. And I will transition into my next phase. They would say, I am going to see you. So even in death, sometimes we want to control things. Even in death, what is death? Death is actually absolute acceptance that we cannot control everything. But even in death, if we choose to control, we are creating more karma for ourselves. Then do these people ever transition? Do these souls ever transition? Sometimes when mediums or, people like me or many other mediums around the world, when they clear the earth, these spirits say, okay, fine, I think we've had enough. We want to transition. So they transition. But some of them continue to stay behind and get captured by tantrics. They get captured by, other people who use or misuse these souls to get their things done. So there's a whole underbelly of light, which is actually darkness. And so this whole spiritual world that looks very, very congenial and very full of light and positivity and hope has an underbelly of choice and darkness and control.
Hey there, Inspired Souls. Spirituality is not something we just talk about here at the Inspired Evolution. It's something we live and breathe with our entire beings. Whether it's in your career, your life, the way you lead in the world, or your relationships, it's at the heart of the way we believe life should be lived. And so if you're feeling out of alignment, or you can feel that there's something more, or you're feeling like you're not thriving in life, touch wood, the way that you ought to be, then we've got guidance to take you even deeper. You've got support from me one-on-one, and you've also got a like-minded, like-hearted community masterminding, master-hearting together through guidance together. And you don't have to take my word for it. This is how people all over the world have transformed through guidance.
Everything just kind of fell into place, and now I'm on a path that I actually believe in and I'm excited about, because I feel like I'm becoming my best self.
Over those 2 years, I have done so much. I can't believe where I am now. I'm thrilled where I am now. Not only was he a coach, but he became a divine presence in my life.
You can show up to Amrit with all sorts of chaos in your life and you leave feeling completely centered with some direction that is going to get you results. It's just magic when you're in coaching with Amrit. You just flow with it all.
I feel that I have access and connection to somebody who is deeply entrenched in my development.
If you're thinking about it, just do it. You won't regret it.
So what are you waiting for? If you feel the call, then join me on a call. amritsandhu.com/call. Link on screen now, and also at the top of the description in the show notes below. Join me in a call. Let's dive in deep to your path, onwards, upwards, and inwards from here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a call. Go on, I'll see you there. I wanted to ask you about that today because it's interesting when you seem to look at spirituality, people seem to look at it as an experience of, light, there's a light to the spiritual experience. And then when you look at souls being left behind, even the work of a psychic in somewhat in that regard, some people perceive it as having dark connotations. And I'm trying to understand, this word comes up a lot, spiritual bypassing, and people are avoiding their darkness in some ways by not looking at these things. But is it okay to not look at these things? Because some people probably don't need it in their awareness, because some people have this fear that if I focus on it, it makes it more real. But if I don't focus on it, it'll just go away.
You know what? Your question itself is an answer to one of the prayers that I had put around to God, I think about 6 months ago. I told God I want to do a podcast where I want to be given an opportunity to speak about this. And Amrit, you have actually just asked me a question. That is, I am so thankful. I'm so thankful. And I don't know how the answer is going to be perceived, but I'm just grateful that you asked me and I can speak about it. Thank you, first of all. Thank you. So everything has polarity, right? Light and darkness are two sides of the same coin. So wherever there is one kind of energy, there is also a second kind of energy. Ignoring energy is a choice, but pretending it is never there is one of the biggest mistakes that anybody could make. Just because we close our eyes and say the tiger is not coming, it doesn't change the tiger from coming. Spiritual bypassing has become so common now. People only want to have podcasts where they talk about the light. Oh, we are hoping, and oh, this is so good. Sure, it's not that you need to focus on the darkness, but know that it is there, acknowledge it. You may choose not to participate in it. That's absolutely okay. But pretending it's not there is not going to help you. It's like using fire or using a knife. Fire can be used to cook food. Fire can also, if not done well, can also, lead to death and destruction. Doesn't mean fire is not good or it doesn't have its own goodness, right? Similarly, spiritual energy is just energy. If you use it in a good way, you can ascend. If you don't use it in a good way, you can descend. But the most beautiful thing over here is that there is still human choice, even in death. So it is your choice what you want to do, but don't not acknowledge it. Don't say, oh, it's not there. Let me just focus here. Yeah, sure, it's a choice. But there is so much of darkness and there is so much of participation of human beings in darkness that it's not funny. Even artificial intelligence today comes under the darkness category if we don't know how to control it. If we try or if we feel that it is going to replace some things that we do. As long as we use it as a tool, it's great. Otherwise, let me tell you that artificial intelligence is going to be the death of human consciousness. It has happened once with Atlantis. It's going to happen again. The way the floods are coming, the way the disasters are happening, these are warnings. Use technology with responsibility. So darkness has many faces. Darkness only doesn't seem like Rahu, which is the North Node. Darkness also seems like ChatGPT. Darkness also seems like, so many things that we are doing. Tantra gone wrong can lead you to darkness. So many things gone wrong because you're handling pure energy. So yes, handle it responsibly. Take it to the next level. Be part of this ascension. But don't say that there is no negative side to it or I'm not choosing to see the negative. So many people say, oh, in the podcast, can you only talk about the good things? Because if you focus on the bad things, we just may manifest it. No, you please look at the bad things. It's like a parent telling the child or parent telling somebody, my child can do nothing wrong. But I'm sorry, murders are happening by teenagers only today. Be aware. Yes, don't blame him. Encourage him to be on the right track. But don't be unaware that the human mind or technology or many other things can go wrong. It's just sheer and pure energy.
What happens to individuals that do bypass and suppress their darkness?
They create more and more lives that they have to come back to learn the same lesson. And then they become, in some lives, they become part of the darkness. So a person who's done spiritual bypassing may end up becoming a black magic practitioner, may end up being born to a tantric who's using or misusing it, thereby putting him directly in the source of things. And then again, he has to make a choice. Am I going to be taking forward the lineage of my father, who's a tantric and who's not doing things right? Or am I going to break free from this, from this tradition? The lessons get tougher. The lives keep repeating. The lifetimes keep increasing. The karmic repercussions keep increasing.
It's interesting because most people that are tuning into this podcast associate Tantra with this beautiful spiritual practice where one starts to understand their most innermost energies. Oftentimes it's conflated with primarily the sexual energy, but you're referring to it as energy at large. I think people need to understand the context of that a little bit more, what you're referring to when you're speaking to a tantric.
Tantra is pure energy and a way of doing things that is faster and more effective. So I'll give you a small example. For example, I can walk from here to a destination I want to arrive at, or I can use a car to go to the same place. So going through a car is also a choice. Going by foot is also a choice. Car is a faster way, more efficient way, and a more evolved way. Tantra is the same. Tantra is a new way of doing things. It was shared by Lord Shiva and shared with Ma Parvati, who had to also go through multiple births to even be able to take that energy in. Anyone who thinks Tantra is very simple or is related to sexual energy or is related to the good or bad things, it's scratching the surface. Tantra is pure energy. It does not differentiate between light and darkness. Therefore, Shiva, who is the perpetrator of Tantra does not differentiate between good and bad. So if you see, his followers are ganas, which are, forms of bhutas, pretas. So he doesn't say, oh, the bhut pret is not good, but, only the devtas are good. Because he does not believe that there are any polarities. He just believes that everything is one, consciousness is one. Anyone who differentiates between light and darkness as being good or bad has not got Tantra in its essence. Tantra's first definition is unconditionality. Consciousness includes everything, excludes nothing. So if Shiva is the teacher of Tantra, and Shiva's teaching is that Tantra makes everything one, everything is one consciousness. And then people who are understanding Tantra are saying, oh, it's good, oh, it's not good. I think the first principle itself is flawed. So
is eroded. Interesting, very interesting. I was going to ask, where do we go after we die if we're not here? And do you, as a psychic, connect to people on the other side?
Yeah. So I'm a medium as well. I do connect to people on the other side. Actually, the sides are all here only. It's just that we are aware of just one thing that we are able to see in this life, which is the third dimension. And where do souls go after they die? So the body dies. The soul still is here. Even the Bhagavad says that. And reincarnation is a principle of life. So what happens is it's like a return to home, return to base. And before that, I want to explain that there's something called a master grid. There is a master grid. Call it the seat of the soul. Now, from here, the entire soul does not incarnate. So there's a part of the soul that incarnates into, let's say, this world. There's a theory that believes that we have 7 lives that we are running parallelly. So 7 parts of us exist in different universes, different planets at the same time. And when suddenly someone says, oh my God, it just felt like I fell down. It is because we have fallen down in another life at that point in time. So there is a thread that connects us. So when one part of us in this dimension dies, it goes back to the master source. But a medium can always connect to that soul, see it in the form that the person was. Can also be the soul could also be the spirit guide of the person. Right? Like my mom could be my spirit guide if I chose her to be so. But I know that my mother's taken birth again. Right? I don't know the exact details, but I know that she's taken birth in the US. And this happened when she took birth. I came to know that she's taking birth. And from there, all consciousness stops. You can't go and peer there and see where is she, kind of a thing. So, yes. So that's where they go. They go there to meet all the, members of the family that are still in the soul form, the members of the family tree, the soul tree as we call it. So let's say every soul tree, let's say, example, has 500 souls. Let's say 100 are alive here, 400 are still planning their next births, depending on the pending karma that they have. Along with the masters, they will plan their next birth, right? And so because, let's say, a father and a child were connected in this life. Let's say the father has expired. The child also expired because he was young and he had an accident. Now, both the father and son have gone to the spirit world, and there they are planning their next life, saying, oh, we had this pending karma, so this will also get sorted. And my next lesson, my lesson in my next life is so-and-so. What is yours? Okay, so can we be brothers in the other life? So the planning is happening in the spirit world. So that's where souls go from here to there. But a soul completely does not materialize as a full being in one life. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Yeah, I'm still digesting what you said, to be honest. It's quite a bit. And so, well, let's take this to, because then there's the reincarnation cycle that's happening. But you've also gone as far as saying that you are aware that your soul is actually close to Moksha. Can you describe Moksha, and how do you know that?
Moksha is a space where a soul exits the life and death cycle, the reincarnation cycle. There are many signs of moksha. Some of them are given by very, very well-known astrologers. You've had to, sort of go deep into soul astrology to be able to understand that. The second is the kind of life that you lead. There are many signs there. For example, you're always on the giving side and you're happy with it. Very few expectations from others. And your life is structured in such a way that everyone will take from you, whether it is financially, whether it is knowledge-wise. You are trying to create platforms for light. You leave a lot of you do a lot of personal sacrifices. You leave your personal life really to help others. I don't mean to make it sound like it's holier than thou, by the way. It's a very tough journey, and every day you don't want to be a part of the journey sometimes. You just want to say, can I just lead a mediocre life? Can I just lead a normal life? But no, you come to know, your masters will tell you again and again that your birth has happened only so that your pending karmas could end and you can create a platform for light. So there are many signs that one gets, and many signs that seers will see you and tell you randomly. Sadhus have met me, astrologers have met me, not knowing me at all, and they've told me that, why are you even here? That kind of a thing. And it's just not me, Amrit. There are many, many people who are light workers, who are coaches, gurus on the earth right now, who have come really to resurrect this whole thing once again.
It's interesting as well, because talking about that, you've said there are certain, like the kids that are being born now,
Yes.
are being born in a much more awakened state than ever before. Can you speak to that, please? And why do you think that's happening?
That's happening because the earth is going into a transformation phase. We are not going through chaos. What looks like chaos right now is actually a restructuring, and the earth is evolving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. Now, if the third dimension people are born again and again, we'll still be where we were. So the children who are being born now in 2025 onwards, they are called the beta generation. And this is the generation that is a generation of angels. So the people who are being born, the first characteristic is to be conscious of the earth, be conscious of how we need to preserve the earth and how to take it to the fifth dimension. These are children who will be very aware of the environment and its disasters. These are also be children, Amrit, that are not going to compete with each other. They are here for collective love, collective consciousness, no conditionality. So if you're beautiful, only then I'm going to love you? No. If you're normal, I'm going to love you? No. So autism is also taking another, it's accelerating if you see more and more, because all the autistic children are angels. All the special needs children are angels. And they are saying, oh, you're not going to love us? Let us show you how. You're going to say this child is not normal? Let me show you. Let me show you. So we are being led to, love unconditionally. And the children who are being born now are really going to take the earth to the next level. Why? Because the people who are already here live in a collective consciousness of fear and doubt and rage. And therefore, all the terrorism and all the, things that are happening. And when someone has a lot of psychic powers and a lot of gifts, but the world doesn't recognize it, they go into a mental health syndrome. So even children who are in depression or in any kind of mental health issue, they are children with extraordinary gifts, but they are not, their energy, they don't know how to channel their energy into taking the earth to the light. So the earth is now getting more and more pure souls, literally being born as angels, who are going to help it to ascend. The shift is gradual and looks like chaos right now. Just see the disasters that are happening. It's looking like the earth is coming to an end. But well, it's not, because we are just shifting. So these kids are really angels on earth.
Hey there, Inspired Souls. Here's someone from our community on the Inspired Circle sharing about her experience on the inside.
Meeting with Gary Zukov was one of the most important moments of my life. There's a couple times where he was just talking us through something and it just hit. And I think it's because we shared the same space with him. Because you watch a lot of people online and it doesn't feel the same as when you're sharing space with somebody. like that moment, that memory, that one little tick in time. It does feel very different once you have that kind of awakening and remembering. Different people are different stages of their awakening. So when I start talking in a certain way, it sounds kind of nutty. And so I can talk very freely among my circle members and feel that I'm heard and validated and welcomed. Everybody's been so nice and open and non-judgmental. We're all being brought together in some magical way. I just look forward to more connections and what we can do with it. I would say that if you're curious about joining Circle, or you feel that there's a calling to a community of like-minded people, that you should click the link down below and join. And it's super easy and super friendly and very affordable. And I would definitely recommend it.
I do want to find out more about the shift, but before we get there, you're setting up a school for you've established a school for you've established a school for psychics. The mental health conversation, how do you navigate this? I mean, it must be such a fine line and an interesting line to thread in terms of who is opening up into gifts versus who is delusional. Like, how do you tell the difference? How do you know?
And there's a third one also, by the way. So one is opening up to gifts, second who's delusional, and third who's possessed. There are 3 factors, right? So yes, it's a fine line, and how we go into it is through knowing the soul blueprint. The soul blueprint can be accessed through various modalities. It could be the Akashic records, it could be automatic writing, and now the latest one that I have is around the 10 Mahavidyas and Tantra. So that is one of the biggest ways of showing me that, is this soul delusional? Has he really left his life force energy? So Amrit, some souls, okay, I'll give you an example. If a person has too much of energy flowing into his crown chakra, he could be born with it, or there could be an awakening of sorts, let's say in teenage, and he has too much of energy happening within him. Some of them will transform this energy and channelize it into something more positive or something more destructive, but they will know a way to channelize it. If you don't channelize it, you will shut down and isolate yourself from the world. Okay? Or you would, if the energy is too much, some souls will choose to walk out. I don't know if you've heard about walk-ins and walkouts. This is when a soul is totally not up for what is coming ahead. Like my near-death experience, I could have walked out. I could have said, I'm not going to do this work. I find it very scary. I don't want to do it. Now, the moment you say that, what happens is that there are a lot of these wandering souls around. Remember the ones we said have not transitioned. So one of them will say, okay, I'm up for this task. And there's a switch that happens between souls. Okay, so whether a person is a walk-in, whether a person is a switched over identity, whether a person is delusional, whether the person has a bigger purpose and they are up for it, all of this can be found out through the soul blueprint of that master soul. And that is what we access through our techniques. And then we tell the person, okay, do this, do that, go here. Sometimes people need a reset, so we send them somewhere for that reset, whatever. So it's a bit tricky, yes.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky even just sharing this in a podcast in some ways, because some people tuning in will finally feel seen and heard, whilst other people, I feel like stuff might be going on for them that isn't this, and they might start projecting that this is what's happening to them. I'm sure you've had to dance that dance and figure that out for yourself as well, right, with the students that you see?
So, Amrit, yes, again, it's a choice how we are going to take this podcast or the information that is relayed. And people will wonder, but you know what? It will take them more insight and they can find out the answers. Projecting is also an option for some, but I think that the work now needs to be done inside. So I will give you a tip. I really firmly believe that each one of us knows at a very intuitive level what is going on. While we may hear so many terms, read about so much, now information is so easily available, that the work now we need is experiential. We can read about anything and everything, hear about anything and everything, but I think intuitively we know, we just know. And if you don't, then, well, there's so many light workers willing to help out and sort of help you understand what's really going on. Because only when you know what's going on, what can be measured can be changed. What cannot be measured is never going to be changed. Everyone's looking to change. Everyone's looking to shift more towards the positive. For that, we should know what's actually going on in our body. It's like a spiritual X-ray.
You mentioned these 10 Mahavidyas. Can you tell us a little bit about what these 10 Mahavidyas are that you help people to understand? Or you consult to sort of see if people have a certain propensity or not? What are the Mahavidyas?
The Mahavidyas are feminine codes of power. They are the seeds of Shakti. It's like a code that helps you to get out of fear. It's a code that helps you to align to your life purpose. It's a code that helps you to break free. We could be, feeling that we are caught in the whole cycle of being in the same pattern. For example, someone's addicted to relationships. They're just addicted to relationships. Somebody is not able to find their purpose. They open a business again and again and it fails. Or they are again and again, the whole family is going through issues regarding a certain thing. The Mahavidyas are a tool of Tantra that help you to get out of the limiting situation that you find yourself in. So this is for the advanced people, Amrit, who have gone through their meditations, who have gone through the dark night of the soul, who have realized things, and they are ready to be taken to light. So think of it as a bridge. You use this to cross the bridge. The bridge takes you to your next level of spiritual growth. What they are not are something to be feared. What they are not is hours of meditation. What they are not is rituals that involve blood and gore. No, that's not true. These can be prayed to sitting nicely the way we are sitting at home. They don't need elaborate rituals. They don't need, so these are myths that surround it, but they are, I just want to tell you why they are more prevalent now. Because the earth is ascending from 3D to 5D. The earth seems to be collapsing. Everyone's saying death is coming.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. 2024 to 2029, you've said is 4 years. These 4 years are like a thing.
These 4 years are the years of transformation. It's such a good news because we are not going to be in collective fear anymore. We are going towards the light. So the trains are set. We are already on top of the trains, and the trains are the 10 Mahavidyas. So we have to break free from our limitations to be able to go to the 5th dimension. What is the 5th dimension? Unconditional love. What is the 5th dimension? No fear. How are you going to get out of fear? Not just by talking about it. So you've got to do something. So when we chant the mantras of these 10 Mahavidyas and we have the yantras, it helps us to break the neural patterns in our brain. We've all heard of neuroplasticity. So they help us change our subconscious mind from fear to fearlessness, from pain to power. So the 10 Mahavidyas are one of the most important tools in these 4 years, actually.
And so what does because you said they're quite advanced tools, what does the average person need to know about the 10 Mahavidyas to support themselves through the shift that's coming over the next 4 years?
So everybody has through our astrology chart, we can find out which of the 10 Mahavidyas is actually meant for a particular person to navigate the challenges of his own life. You know that the planets are placed in everybody's chart depending on, let's say, if my life purpose, for example, is transformation, then my 8th house obviously is very heavy and my ascendant sits there, right? So it's quite a clear map of what I've come here to do. So for me, the goddess would be, to begin with, the goddess would be Maa Kaali. So every Mahavidya has a lesson, a purpose, something around it. For example, someone's come here to slay competition. In their previous lives, they were, or in this life also, they find that, people dominate them, people gaslight them, there are narcissistic people around them. Those people need Maa Baglamukhi. So every goddess has a theme, and every goddess has a purpose. So people can find out from their basic birth charts which goddess is suited for them. Now, how does a common man access it? Because these are advanced tools. The common man accesses it through Maa Kali. Maa Kali is the main deity from which all these Mahavidyas emerge. So, if you can understand how to pray to Maa Kali in a way that is easy for you, you can very easily access the energies of all these deities only through praying to Maa Kali.
Can you take us further into the journey of Maa Kaali? Because many people will look at it as many people see it as a dark and destructive force, but it's a misinterpretation, and I think it's important for us to have a conversation about that because you speak so deeply to her.
So Maa Kali is actually an energy that is required in these years of, we've all reached a stage of intense masculine traits. The earth itself has a lot of masculine traits now. The trait of control, the trait of dominance, the trait of greed, the trait of doing things my way. So now we need the feminine to step in. But a very soft feminine is going to not be able to stand in front of this whole masculine power structure that we've built. So Maa Kali comes as the force to destroy all these old power structures. And Maa Kali is, when we say Ma, it means mother. So we start by looking at her in the form of a mother. A mother is going to be gentle, a mother is going to be nourishing, nurturing, and she's going to be someone who's going to always protect you. So let's start with her mantras, a basic mantra like Om Krim Kaligaya Namaha itself, even done 11 times without any rituals, just sitting and doing those mantras, asking for divine protection. Because all of us now want that, our houses should be protected, our children should be protected, our family should be safe. So start simply with this. When we look at her, she's not going to destroy you. She is going to destroy the fear and the chaos surrounding your life. That is how we look at Maa Kali. And because she is the seed from which all the other Mahavidyas come, just by praying to her, you sort of get the essence of the other Mahavidyas also, if you don't want to go in detail to them. So we have a very interesting platform called the Kali Code, which we have started not just for, people who are in their 40s or 50s, which is being taken to the Gen Z, because they also have to have something as a guiding force towards light. They don't relate so much to the to many gods, but there's a craze of Maa Kali in the younger generation in India today because they see it as a tool to take them towards light without too much of fuss around the rituals. So the Kali Code is that platform and my attempt to, sort of get the younger generation integrated into Sanatan as well as into, light and spirituality.
It's really interesting because, thank you for sharing that, because I've got two close friends who, I can't say they're carrying a non-dual awareness, but their awareness is more non-dual than mine, let's put it that way, at the very least, and significantly more so. And both of them actually had apparitions or visions of Kali Ma before they started to have the shifts that they are currently residing with, which I thought was quite interesting that both of them actually had very different locations, very different moments in time, but both of them saw the same deity.
Beautiful. So Maa Kali is actually the initiator of transformation. So everybody who goes through transformation is connected to Maa Kali in some of the other ways. So it's really wonderful. If anybody who's, sort of listening to this podcast has an experience about Maa Kali, it's a very clear sign that the dark night of the soul has ended. And the person is meant to do a lot of spiritual work. And here I just want to say one thing about it, that, many people think of spirituality as something that's completely different than the life that we lead. And I want to say that the spirituality that I talk about is not renouncing the world or your responsibilities. You can still go for a walk, still take your dog out, still be with your wife, and still be spiritual because it's a way of life. And that has been my greatest learning in spirituality, that it is not about going in a room or in an ashram. Well, those are also ways. But the most deep spirituality is spirituality that you lead on a day-to-day level. So you don't need to do anything extraordinary for it. You just need to create shifts in your own consciousness.
Inspired Soul Lumen beings, you're obviously enjoying this video, so please do give it a thumbs up and a like and join us in the conversation. What are you taking away from today's conversation? We'd love to hear from you in the comments below, and leave your questions that you would like me to ask in the future as well in the comments below, and be honored to ask them on your behalf. You're also an Akashic Records consultant. I mean, to add to the litany of things. Yeah. So in terms of the Akashic Records, what's your experience of the Akashic Records, and why are they useful for each person? Like, should everyone get their Akashic Records consulted? Why do people come to you to get their Akashic Records consulted? Is it a past life thing?
Right. So in the Hindu Dharma, they say that the keeper of the records is somebody called Chitragupt. And through the word Chitragupt, Gupt means hidden. And he's the keeper of the records. Earlier, the records were not accessible to all of us because we could have gone through life the way we were, in a general progressive sense. But the way the darkness has interfered with our minds, with reality, and with the earth, it has become very important for people, especially people who've come here to make a huge difference to their lives and break ancestral curses, to know that they are not delusional, to know that they are carrying karma and lessons and responsibilities from previous lives. The Akashic Records tell you everything that you've done till now in your human words over centuries, and access that information to connect to your purpose in this life and to heal some pending karma that is there. I feel that the people who are now on earth, especially in 2025, are people who have to break through the old patterns, Amrit, whether it's their ancestral problems, whether it's their mental health issues, whether it's whatever blocks that they have. And Akashic Records is a fantastic tool. Why? Because of two reasons. One, it gives you the confidence that you're on the right path. That yes, you're meant to break this, you're meant to do that. The second, it gives you the courage and exactly the blocks that you need to break. So if it tells you that you have 5 curses, 2 vows, 1 soul contract pending, 1 soulmate, 1 twin flame problem, whatever it is, you have a list of things to work through. And there are enough and more healers in the world today to help people to break through. So my excitement stems from the fact that, wow, they can break through all of that and therefore finally leave it behind and then, sort of put themselves to the purpose that they came here for, which is expansion of human consciousness.
Are more and more people in your experience opening up and arriving and opening into gifts? It seems like, and maybe I need to be careful because I'm doing this podcast, to conflate, my sort of reality to reality at large, but it seems like more and more people are, how do you describe it, coming online to their gifts in these ways. Is that something you see? What are your thoughts on this?
All the time. Anybody that you meet who's going to be working with the light, anyone who's a healer, who's a coach, will tell you that it's happening at a rapid pace. And that's where the light is working. Thank God. One would think that it's only darkness that's, expanding. But no. Everyone's having, people in the corporate world, people who are bankers, doctors, teachers, everybody has experiences now. Dreams have become more. We all know, with Rahu being where it was last year, people have had intense dreams, people have visions, people have angel numbers coming up. People are seeing more and more, signs from spirit, whether it's songs, whether it's synchronicities, numbers, feathers, pennies, dreams, deja vu experiences. More and more people are experiencing them, thereby putting them directly into the path of questioning, is this real? And if it is, then what is my role in this whole thing? Am I a seeker? Am I a teacher? Am I a builder? Do I have to build communities for people? Everyone looks different, Amrit. Somebody, for example, Vishen is building a, huge platform for people. There are lots of people who are into it in different roles and faces. Not everyone will be sitting with a mala, and nothing wrong, by the way, with that. But I'm just saying that we all have our own roles. You have your own role with this podcast, your whole responsibility. So yeah, more and more people are opening up.
So where do you think things will be post 2029? Where do you think this all leads to? What is inspiring you for that time?
What is inspiring me is that there's going to be a lot of awareness. What is scaring me is what is humanity going to choose in that awareness. The only threat that I see after 29 is the way we handle AI. Are we going to handle it with soul intelligence, or are we going to handle it with greed? That continues to be a looming threat. Apart from that, I think we are being washed, literally with water. As you see floods all around, we are being washed and memory is being recreated. The earth is restructuring, and we are going to be a set of very evolved and conscious living beings. What inspires me is that the old power structures are breaking. What inspires me is that money and currency are going to look different. The world is going to look different. We are going to be far more intelligent without focusing and over-focusing on outdated education. What is inspiring me is that we are going to be conscious and one with nature. We are going to go back to our roots. So it's a great time. It's a great time that's coming.
Dr. Manmit Kumarr. Wow, I know in so many ways we've just scratched the surface and there is so much deeper to go into, so many things. But thank you so much for your time, your energy, your presence, sharing yourself so abundantly here today. It's been, illuminating to say the least, and really inspired by the work you're doing in the world. I put a link to all your offerings in the show notes below so people can, like I said, it's feeling into your own story and all the things you've had to navigate on your own, and just, that isolation, that path, and how deeply it means to you to offer the things that you're offering as well. It's really something. So obviously thanking you for your time and your energy and your presence here today with us. But even more than that, thank you for you. You've been through a lot to get to where you are and doing the things that you're doing. And I mean, there's many different subtexts we didn't discuss, coming online with the work that you're doing, and then also being, in India and a woman. And there's so much in there for you to stand in your power the way that you have, to share the things that you are with the world. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dr. Manmit.
Thank you, Amrit. Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure. I loved your energy. I'm sure the energy of your audience is already sort of touching me, and I'm feeling so grateful for that. Thank you for this podcast. I hope that this can touch the lives of many, many people in a positive way, and very grateful, very, very grateful. Thank you.
Inspired souls, lumen beings, you've made it through to the end of another really incredible episode. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support. It is such an honor to be your brother walking this path by your side. You've obviously enjoyed this video, so please do give it a thumbs up. It votes for content like this, spirituality, evolution, inspiration, to be spread around the internet further. So thank you so much in advance for doing so. And on the topic of thank yous, thank you all of you that have subscribed to this podcast. It is not possible without you guys. It's a total co-creation. So thank you so much to each and every single one of you that are subscribed to this podcast. And at the time of this recording, that's actually only 20% of you that are regularly watching this channel. 80% of you, we can see from the back end of the analytics, is actually unfortunately not yet subscribed. So many of you actually think you are subscribed, but you aren't actually subscribed. So please do take a moment. It really helps. So as I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, join the community, join the movement, spreading love, positivity, and wisdom like this around the planet together. Thank you so much in advance months for your support. And as I mentioned, the community, let's go there. Inspired Evolution community, guests like this come on once a month where I step out of the way and you get to ask your questions directly of the guests of these incredible masters that come on and shine their light and wisdom into us on this podcast. And once a week, live and interactive, I'm running guided meditations. We have community offerings, community sharings and circles happening once a week as well. Breathwork, tarot, all sorts of cool stuff going on inside the circle. Astrology readings. It's a really, really buzzing, happening, fun place. So welcome yourself. Come on in. If you're looking for community, if you're feeling the call, if you're feeling a little bit alone, you don't need to. Please come on to the inside. We'd love to welcome you into the Inspired Evolution Circle. That's inspiredevolution.com/circle. There's a link in the description below. And now on screen to keep your inspirations flowing onwards, upwards, and inwards, the next best episode here at the Inspired Evolution for you to continue your Inspired Evolution journey. So go on, take your pick and make your click. I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you there.